Howdy folks, I'm Elated Elf, evilly eviscerating Ernest Endives.
I'm Amber.
And here are more evil endives for us to eviscerate. I'm gonna say they're evil, because we're elves, and elves can't be evil. Let's get started. Alright folks, and our first letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Sending My Sister Flowers Anonymously and Making Her Husband Upset? I'm a 37-year-old male, and I've always been close to my sister, a 35-year-old female. We talk regularly, and during one such conversation, she told me that she's been feeling really depressed and overwhelmed lately. As we were talking, I could tell that she was holding back tears. So I decided to do something nice for her. I contacted my local florist, and I put in some orders for some flowers. I had them delivered to my sister's place of employment with a note, thinking of you. A few hours later, the florist called me up and told me that this man has been calling them non-stop and demanding that I tell them who sent the flowers. They tried to explain that it was against their policy to reveal that information, but the man wouldn't take no for an answer. Apparently, he became so aggressive and threatening over the phone that the shop called me up and asked my permission to reveal the name of the sender to the man being my brother-in-law. It turns out that my sister had called her husband and thanked him for the flowers. He told her that he hadn't sent her any flowers and accused her of having an affair. He believed her affair partner had sent them to her, which is why he called the florist like that, demanding the names. Now my sister is more depressed than ever, and she's been fighting with my brother-in-law ever since. My friends think that I should have included my name on the card. Had I done that, they say that this blow-up would never have happened. I say that it's my brother-in-law to blame, as he is the one who can't control his temper. So Reddit, am I the jerk? Edit/update. Oops, I totally forgot to explain that I gave the florist permission to tell my brother-in-law that it was me. So he knows. My sister knows. Everyone knows at this point. So sorry for the confusion. All right, folks, what do you think?
I think that OP and brother-in-law are both in the wrong here. Like, obviously, brother-in-law is in the wrong for harassing the florist and getting so violently upset about this situation. But OP also did not exercise common sense. What was his sister supposed to think when she got these flowers? Like, why leave your name off them? You know, either one, her husband sent them, or two, it's someone she doesn't know. And like, that's kind of a weird and creepy situation to put someone in, even if they're not in an abusive relationship. Like, oh, some person sent me flowers and I'm not, and said they're thinking of me and I have no idea who this is.
So, I mean, I think that it really is going to depend on person to person, right? Some people are going to view this as kind of creepy. I think some people are going to view this as a sweet, not sweet romantic thing, but a sweet, nice thing, right? I think you can do random acts of kindness and they can generally work out. Now, the big problem is like if somebody has like a soccer or some other situation in their life where getting random flowers isn't going to be the best thing for them, right? And it might freak them out and it might concern them. So you really need to know who you're sending flowers to and what whether or not they would appreciate anonymous flowers at that point in time, right? So as for whether or not OP is in the wrong, I mean, I think given if they know that the husband is like this, then it might have been a good idea to include a note just so that it wouldn't cause more stress in their home life. And that's not to say that like he should control his temper. He shouldn't be going around saying these things. And I think that the husband is in the wrong here. And I think that the florist really should have called the police on him because of how he's acting here, right? Like he was making threats, he was, verbally abusing these people. At a certain point, you need to get the law enforcement involved here and not violate your policy because some person is making these huge demands, right?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree that the husband is more in the wrong, but I do also think that if you know someone close to you is in a difficult, potentially abusive relationship, you have to think about how will this actually affect them, because it seems
Yeah,
like
well,
OP
that's what I
is not.
said. Yeah,
It seems like OP is not at all remorseful.
yeah,
He says when he goes into this that he was trying to cheer up his sister, and if that
yeah.
was his end goal, he would be remorseful that she ended up getting more upset than ever.
Yeah.
But instead, he's doubling down and saying, well, it's all my brother-in-law's fault. He doesn't seem to be. It seems more like he wants to be regarded as a hero than that he actually wants to do something nice for his sister.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a fair point of view. I think what I'm trying to say in general is that if you're trying to, you need to know your audience and whatnot for sending these things. And I mean, you're right. He does have like this whole attitude of, oops, it's no big deal type of thing, that she's worse off now, right? So I don't know. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. But folks, let's see what the Wheel of Judgment has to say. Wheel of Judgment, turn, turn, turn. Tell us the judgment that OP's earned. You're the jerk, and that's an understatement. I don't know. I feel like that's a little harsh.
Yeah, I mean, I do think OP misstepped here, and I also don't think he's taking enough like responsibility for the effect of his actions. But there's a bigger jerk in this story.
Yeah. And Worth Season 3645 says, everyone's in the wrong here. So I am not sure how anyone thinks that sending anonymous flowers to a married woman would end up well. You're 37, old enough to know better. Sister thinks that husband did a nice thing for her, and turns out the husband did not. Who did? Why did you not sign the card? Have you told them that it was you? Husband is all around a jerk for flying off the handle right away. Why assume that the wife is having an affair right off the bat? I have a feeling that the sister is depressed because of him. And Tall Confection 960 says, OP, why wouldn't you sign the card? That's just dumb. It's obvious that your sister is in a borderline abusive relationship. Please tell me that you've cleared this up, since she's more depressed than ever. You're the jerk, so is her husband. And String Beagle says, the summer before my senior year in high school, I went to a camp in Colorado. I got put in a group with some very cool people from around the country, one of whom was a girl from Memphis. None of us really kept in touch after that 2-week camp. Well, a year or two later, I was thinking about that camp and the girl in particular, and about how special an experience it was, and how I hoped that she was doing well. So I thought that I would send her flowers, because getting flowers makes people feel good. But flowers from a guy to a girl can have a romantic implication, and you don't want that at all. So I would just send them anonymously. But that can also be taken as a secret admirer. So I included a note with a quote from Catcher in the Rye. Because who wants flowers when you're dead? It was only when the flower shop called me back, saying that the girl's family had called asking who I was, that I recognized that this was super creepy and borderline threatening. I would like to say that we all had a good laugh, but I can't. The best that I can say is that no charges were filed and a lesson was learned. All right, folks, what do you think of that comment?
Why? I don't know how anyone would think of writing that and like not think of it as coming across threatening, like unless this is someone that is like an inside joke between the two of you,
Yeah.
and you know they're gonna get that. That does come across as a threat.
Yeah, I'm hoping that it was a inside joke here, because otherwise this just comes off as very in poor taste. And why does it matter if it has a romantic implication or not? He's sending it anonymously. All they needed to do was like send a note saying something about, remembering, reflecting on times gone by or something like that, and you came to mind. And then that would be not like creepy at that point in time, right? All right, folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Refusing to Make Starbucks Drinks for My Family on Thanksgiving? I'm a 28-year-old female, and I worked at Starbucks for a little over 2 years, and ever since then, my family has loved asking me to recreate their favorite drinks at home. I don't mind doing it every once in a while, but it's not exactly my favorite thing, especially because I don't have all the equipment or supplies that Starbucks does. This Thanksgiving, my mom hosted a dinner and invited a bunch of extended family. After we finished eating, she casually announced, okay everyone, OP will be making Starbucks drinks for dessert. I was totally blindsided. Apparently she had bought a bunch of syrups, whipped cream, and even a little espresso machine just for this. When I said that I really wasn't feeling like making drinks for 15 plus people, my mom got super annoyed and said, it's not that hard for you, you do this all the time at work. A few of my cousins started chiming in too, saying that it would be fun and they would help. But I didn't come to Thanksgiving to play barista for the whole family, so I stood my ground. Now my mom is upset, saying that I embarrassed her after she went out of her way to buy all these supplies. Some of my family thinks that I was being selfish and that it wouldn't have taken that long. But I just wanted to enjoy the holiday and not work for it. All right, folks, what do you think?
Not the jerk. If the mother wanted to do this, she needed to communicate with OP beforehand and get OP's approval. There is nothing wrong with not wanting to work on holiday time. And it seems very entitled of the mom to volunteer OP's labor like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's really the nuts and the bolts here. I mean, certainly, like, there needs to be, like, if you're helping out at Thanksgiving, like, I think some of this is like an intersection of, like, how much did this person help out with Thanksgiving? How much are they usually expected to help out with Thanksgiving? What kind of roles and stuff like that? Certainly not blindsiding them was, they shouldn't have been blindsided. They should have kind of, the mother should have asked them ahead of time and worked out some kind of thing that they could do to help out with Thanksgiving if that's what she wanted. But again, like, the key here is making sure that everyone feels comfortable and not like put on the spot to do something.
Right. And like, you know, it's one thing if people are kind of making a communal meal or doing a potluck thing or something, you know, where everyone's responsible for a dish or something. It's another thing to expect someone to sit there making a bunch of custom drinks for people. It just seems like, again, it wasn't, OP's mom wasn't considering OP's time and energy at all when it came to this.
No. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Final Echidna 6743 says, good thing that you're not a proctologist. And OP replies, only on the weekends. And Ashkey Bain says, not the jerk. She shouldn't have blindsided you like that. And OP replies, thank you. And Kerberson says, when entitled people don't get what they want, they call you selfish. You're not the jerk, but your mom certainly is for not talking to you about this first. And OP replies, exactly. And Active Restaurant 506 says, as a former barista, I completely understand. I'll whip up something nice for my girlfriend sometimes, and maybe a guest or two every once in a while. But no way for 15 people after eating Thanksgiving dinner. And on a home machine, that's at least 30 minutes of sitting on my butt and drinking wine time that I did not get. Alright folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Rage Quitting After I Lost an Election? I'm a 28-year-old female, and I've been a member of a large volunteer organization for several years. I am one of the longest standing members, and I've spent hundreds of hours on various aspects of it. I've held a small leadership position in almost every area, and I have a large amount of experience being the president of another organization as well. When I first joined, things were not doing well, so I, with others, worked our butts off to improve that, and we did. In fact, we did so well with improving the atmosphere that we had a massive amount of incoming members, who quickly became very close with each other, something that we specifically encouraged, and have absolutely no idea how bad things used to be, or how much behind the scenes work that it takes to maintain the things the way that they are now. I ran for president in the most recent election. I ran against 5 other candidates. 4 of us had years of experience and had been preparing our campaign for months and years. One person, we'll call him Alex, was extremely new, a few weeks, had 0 experience at all, and decided to run at the last minute, and had a very large group of friends with other new members. Alex was barely allowed to run due to how new they were, but made the cut by a handful of days. You can see where this is going. It was extremely close between me and Alex, and I lost by 1 vote. The rest of the elected officials were all new members as well, of the same friends group, also without any experience. Then it was discovered that 9 or 10 votes, specifically the votes of the other people in the leadership positions who worked closely with me, were not counted. This was not intentional or malicious, it was simply a computer error. Apparently, every single one of them voted for me. I technically won. They tried to get the election results overturned because of it, but the higher-ups would not allow it, because they feared that it would look like favoritism. At the end of the day, I was told to keep quiet and not let anyone know about this. That brings me to my current situation. Because nobody on the new executive team has any experience, I started facing a lot of pressure to take on lower leadership positions solely to guide them and ensure our hard work doesn't all go to waste. I absolutely refused. In fact, I decided to drop all leadership roles and do absolutely nothing this year. This has led to multiple people telling me that I truly don't care about the organization, that I'll be responsible if it falls apart. I feel like it's a slap in the face to expect me to do what the president does without the title to show it. Am I the jerk for dropping all leadership positions and letting the new team do whatever they want to do? All right, folks, what do you think?
Not the jerk. First of all, you won fair and square. The organization is so afraid of looking like favorites playing favorites that they're actively playing favorites.
Yeah.
They are willing to overlook the true results of the election. And that's not okay. So I would recommend not keeping quiet like they want them to. Go public with the proof you have that you won the election and let the people know so they know you're not just bitter, which like even if you were just upset about losing the election, you would still be within your right to step down and not do anything in leadership because you were not an elected leader. But the fact that you actually won and they're just like, oh, yeah, shh, don't tell anyone because we can't have it look like we're playing favorites. That's so gross.
I think that that's the reason why a lot of people are probably getting on OP's case is because they don't know the full story. They might feel like OP is being bitter and resentful and not accepting the results of the election. And I can understand from that perspective why people would maybe harass OP a little bit here, but like you said, I don't think that it's OP's responsibility at the end of the day to take on a leadership position. I think if OP reveals the truth to these people and says, look, I won the election and the reason why I'm stepping down is because of the upper leadership and their inability to have a backbone. And so I don't want to be part of an organization where the leadership isn't doing the right or ethical thing. And I think if OP frames it that way, then people will say, oh, that's a really understandable reason why you wouldn't want to continue working in a organization like this.
Yeah, well, and I agree with you. And I also just wanted to add, like, it's really telling that the people were still expecting OP to do a leadership position if she lost. Like, when you vote for someone, you are choosing them for a leader.
Mm-hmm.
And, I've seen this play out in, in student organizations where people went for the charismatic person over the person with experience and a plan. And it doesn't go well. And you don't get to have that other person as like your backup, like, oh, you're the shadow leader who's now going to do all the leadership work without the title. When you vote for someone, you're saying, I think they are competent enough to do this role. And if they don't feel like Alex is competent, they should not have voted for him.
Yeah. I also think that that a lot of these organizations need to have better bylaws that kind of help to protect against these kinds of things, where you have very specific requirements for leaders and like some kind of demonstrated track record, and not just like a populist type person who's charismatic and promises the world or whatever, right? Because at the end of the day, results are what matters. And like, sure, democracy is great. I'm not saying it isn't, but it needs to be qualified people who are running these positions too, to some degree. I'm not saying that all the time, that it always has to be the most qualified person in the room, but there needs to be some barriers to entry, right?
It creates chaos when, because it sounds like there's no one in the new leadership board who has experience.
Yeah.
And so there could be some kind of requirement like that someone in leadership has to have X years of experience or something like that. So you don't end up in situations where there is this much turnover, because that really makes it hard for an organization to progress. You end up going back to square one a lot of times.
Yeah, well, it feels like Alex just came in here and overthrew the government, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh yeah, it's me and my friends who are running this now. That's not great. That's really not great. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Fauci says, is there a higher up leadership above your regional level? My suggestion would be to reach out to them for support, include a paper trail. You're absolutely not the jerk for wanting to step back. And OP replies, the higher up leadership is the team who told regional leadership that they can't do a recount lest it looks like favoritism. And then there's problems on the national level.
Mm-hmm.
And Guinea Panda says, I'm surprised that someone with such a short amount of time is allowed to run. Do the bylaws say anything about that? And OP replies, they met the minimum requirement to run by only a handful of days, less than a week. And again, like if this person's that new, it sounds like they haven't been around for that long, then maybe the term needs to be like extended, like the amount of time, like a year or two or something like that before somebody's allowed to run for an office, unless there's no other qualified candidates to run, right? I mean, I think you need to structure your rules to be sensible. Like if somebody's willing to take a leadership position, they're willing to take a leadership position if no one else is. Right. All right, folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here, and Amber, she has a joke.
I had a toothache and decided to set up an appointment with my dentist for tooth hurdy.
Oh, 2:30. I get it. I get it. And I have Earl Grey. Alright, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy special Sunday, folks. I hope your Sunday is off to a special start. And you know what makes it special? You do, and Amber does too.
And Brian does too.
And Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance. And please, have it an anonymous note in some flowers.
Anonymous notes and flowers are not a good idea unless you're sure the recipient will appreciate them.
I guess that works. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.